Mirdit sot jam chtu me një Arvanit ka Greqia, si thritet ti?
Më thonë Dimitri, ri në Belgio, në Belgjik, edhe jam nga Greqia, në kufiri me Turqinë. Ishte një qytet që thonë Aleksandroupoli. Aleksandroupoli ishte kasabaja që është më i afër nga fshati im. Fshati im është Tycheró. Edhe ashtu.
Familja jote ka vjen?
Vjen nga Tycheró, babën tim ishte nga Tycheró, nga kjo fshati, edhe mumën si ishte shqiptarke, ishte nga një kasabaj qytet, një qytet që pak më i larg nga fshati babës. Babën tim ishte shqiptarke dhe ishte gjysëm. Babën tim ishte shqiptare edhe ishte gjysëm. Atëherë unë jam i një qerek, a quarter of Arvanit.
Ma tatë madhi jetë. Allora ishte.
Gjyshi. Gjyshi ishte.
I jati i tatë. Ai ishte Arvanit o shqiptar?
It's a big thing. When I present, I have to go to English to explain that. When we present ourselves in Greek, we say we are Arvanites. And for example, I am an Arvanit and he's an Alvanos. So he's Albanian, I'm Arvanit. But when we are in the village, we don't use like the archaic form like you have Arberesh, or in southern Greece they have Arberor, and we say just Shqiptar. So it's a little bit confusing. It's even more confusing for us than for you, because it's just the same as Albanians say for themselves. But if there is an Albanian coming in the village, we would say jam shqiptar edhe ky është Alvanos.
Okay, for we say jam Arbresh e ky është shqiptar or Albanese.
Yeah, like you say Albanese, we say jam shqiptar sepse jam shqiptar edhe ky është Alvanos sepse ishte nga Albania.
Kal Albania, sorry.
Like this.
Yeah, it's interesting. But so that means your history is a little bit different from the Arvanite people from the south of Greece or central Greece.
Yes. So as far as I have found in sources, etc., the name Shqiptar is like from the 15th to 16th century. And so apparently we are a migration that is after that Albanians call themselves Shqiptar. And so there are three theories for our migration from Albania to Greece, which is also not the place where we are now. So we are a second. There was a second migration, which was from Turkey to Greece. Like Turkey and Greece had in 1922, they had an exchange of populations, and we were part of the Greek Orthodox population who had to come from Turkey to Greece. Although we didn't spoke Greek, except of schools, of course, were in Greek, but yeah, the grandmother of my father didn't speak Greek at all, for example. And so in that part of Turkey, we came. There are three theories. Not that they are all equivalently good, let's say, but the first one is from Fanoli, who is the biggest one who supports this. Fanoli is like a big person in Albanian history. And he actually comes from my village, and he says that we are an Albanian, a Byzantine colony, actually, a soldier colony that Byzantine emperors created. Then there is the second, which is, let's say, the theory of Sir Titus Johalas, which is from the Athenian Academy. He says, and this is also a popular version in our villages, that we came like in the 16th century, like for the building of the Silimiye Mosque in Edirne. It's a big mosque, very popular, or for the bridge of Uzun Köprü. So in that period, that's a little bit after the conquest of Istanbul. And the third theory is after the decline of Moscopolis, which is Voskopoi today in Albania. There were bandits, and Ali Pasha, for example, distracted the city also. And apparently, with the destruction of the city, we came to Greece, or at that part of the Ottoman Empire. So somewhere between Middle Ages and let's say 18th century. So that's a big period, but
sure. We know exactly when our ancestors arrived because there are documents and everything. And we had emigrations originally from central Albania, from Himara, and from the region of Koroni and Nafplio. And
yeah, but that's in the Peloponnese, right?
Yes, in the Peloponnese, yeah. That's why our song Oe Bukura Morea is so famous, because talking about Morea. And near to Nafplio, there is a village called Ios Valasis.
Okay, yeah,
something like this.
Vlasis,
And and the only place in Italy with the surname Io Valasit is in Piana degli Albanesi. And
okay,
and my family are from Santa Cristina Gela, which was founded in 1699 by people from Piana degli Albanesi. And there's a surname Io Valasit.
Okay.
And if you consider that we have origins also in Nafplio and Koroni, it's really interesting because it's the only place where it could possibly come from, is that village, maybe.
Yeah.
So
we have in our village, if you go really to old people, they will say, for example, that they come from Qutez. But Qutez, of course, in Albanian just means village, right? Like or fortified village or something like that. But being from the region of Korç, there are two villages which are called Qutez. One is in the mountains, is like a really small village, and the other, which is a little bit bigger and on the border with Greece, is considered to be originally from that first village. So I guess we are from that village, but there is no documented, like you cannot be sure about that. But having been there, like I see that the people speak a little bit more like us, but I guess that's the general accent of the south, of Korç.
Sure. So can you speak Arvanitika, or what do your family call the language?
In Greek, we say Arvanitika. If we speak in English, we say Arvanitika or Arvanitik or something like that. If we speak in our language, we say Shkip. So just like Albanians say for themselves.
You don't say Arbrecht?
No, at all. So we say Shkipet. I never learned it from my father or something like that. My mother, of course, don't speak it. My sister doesn't speak it at all. But I learned the first words from my father and my godfather. So we had like my father used to have a Greek restaurant, and at some point my godfather came from Greece. And here in Belgium, we have two national languages. So my godfather was like speaking to me. I was like, I don't know, 6-7 years. And he says like, you're just a kid and you speak already 3 languages. So you speak French, you speak Dutch, and you speak Greek. was like, yes, what language do you speak? And he was like, okay, I speak Italian, I speak German, I speak Greek. My father was saying I speak French, Spanish, and Greek. And then my godfather said to my father, like, I think you forgot one language. Oh, yes, what is that? And he says, like, Arvanitika. And ha, 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 they're like laughing, like how to say that to you? It was like they didn't consider it a language. And I was, however, like wanted to know what this is about, and they told me no, just the language that we speak in the village. And so I took a piece of paper and I wrote like 5 or 10 words. And now I'm 31. So from that point, I just hear left and right, and I write words down and just practicing. Of course, at some point, you understand that it's really, really similar to Albanian. And I also had a very good Albanian friend in my classroom at the Belgian school. And also the ironic part of it is that his name is Arber.
Yeah.
And so, yes, a little bit with friends, with family. When I go to the village, I try to speak it as much as possible. But it's really difficult because, like, if the person is not older than, let's say, 50 years old, he can not speak it. And especially the people of my age and lower cannot speak it at all. It's just limited to some words, some generally expressions, but they just put that into Greek. So it's not that they speak Arvanitika. But if you speak with elder people, you can just have a whole conversation in Arvanitika, of course, with a lot of Greek words. And that's it.
Sure. In our village, if both parents, nowadays it's the case that if both parents are from the village or from either one of the two villages that are only 4 kilometers away from each other, then the children speak it. Even now, toddlers, their first language is still Arbrisht. In some cases, if one of the parents is an Italian or Sicilian speaker, then they don't speak it. But before that wasn't the case. Before it used to be that if somebody moved into the village, they learned the language and their children learned it. And I think going back for 300 years when our village was founded, it was the case that they always married Sicilian speakers. And so it was very much the case that we kept our language despite marrying out, to use a funny term.
Well,
so it's yeah.
My father is actually an example of that because his mother is also not Arvanitika speaker, but he had to learn the language to be able to communicate with his grandmother. So he didn't speak it actually at home with his father nor with his mother. Of course, when we say home, at that time, grandmothers were living in the same home.
Yeah, sure.
So he had to learn it and to speak with his grandmother, and consequently, he used it also to speak with other kids who were more used to speak it. And so he elaborated a little bit more the language.
And I think that when we first spoke before we did Zoom, you mentioned having heard me talk in a video about having a book in Albanian that I got from the library when I was a child. And I went to my grandfather and I saw because it was from the 80s, actually. We're talking about like 89 or something. And it was still communist Albania then. So there was one book in existence that you could get outside of Albania. And I found it and I saw the numbers and I was reading it and I sat down, and my grandfather, he didn't know anything about Albania, didn't have nothing, just sort of knew that we came from there at one point, but he doesn't know anything about it.
Same on this side.
Exactly. They don't have any knowledge of Albania. And then I was reading the numbers and I was seeing how is it written in Albanian. And I knew the numbers in Arborish, but he was correcting me. So when I was reading, I was like, Nia, du, tre, quater, pes, jasht. And he said to me, yo, nathomi, nie, di, tre, quatr, pes, jasht.
Jasht, yeah.
Jasht. And so I started to learn the differences reading that book. And things like the word half, ours is gimsa. And in Albanian it's jusem. And
Jusem,
so
we use the same as it's half yours and half Albanian. We say gusme, so we say the g, but we say u. We still have the u that was like yotakized. I think you call that in Arbresh and in Arvanitika of the south also.
We don't have it.
Yes, so we say ni, du, tre, quatro, pes, jasht.
Jasht, similar. Yeah.